Hide and Seek with Scamper, written by Pat Etchison Taylor. This morning it was hot, and Scamper was stretched out flat with his legs hanging down from the porch railing, watching Aunt Boo wash windows on the patio. Suddenly, Scamper ran over to the footstool Aunt Boo was on and started to chatter at her. "Stop that, Scamper!" But it was too late. Aunt Boo tumbled into the bucket of water, giving Scamper a bath too. "Now look what you've done. I am all wet, and you are too." While Aunt Boo went into the house to change her clothes, Scamper sat up on his hind legs for a moment, looking bewildered. He had never been bathed in water like he was this morning. Then something caught Scamper's eye. Over in the corner sat trays of spring flowers waiting to be planted. Scamper made a beeline straight to them. Scamper was curious, as usual. Was this something to smell or to eat? First he sniffed, then he tasted. Phooey! They did not taste good, but they did smell delicious, he thought. Oh well, Aunt Boo had bought them for her beautiful pots, so they must be good for something. Just then Aunt Boo appeared with her broom. "Shoo, Scamper! Get off the patio!" She pushed him lightly with the broom. "I have work to do, and I can't get my flowers planted if you continue to get in my way." Scamper did not go far. It was time to investigate this project of Aunt Boo's. This year the trees were overloaded with pecans, and Scamper knew he had to find places to hide them for the coming winter. He had filled up his home in the old oak tree with pecans, and he had planted pecans in the ground all over the yard. Still there were more pecans to hide someplace, but where, oh where should I hide them? He said to himself. Scamper thought harder and harder. Why could he not plant his pecans in Aunt Boo's flower pots? The pots would be a perfect place to hide the rest of the nuts until winter. None of the other squirrels would think of looking for them there. Surely Aunt Boo would not mind. Scamper had made up his mind. Aunt Boo's flower pots would be a perfect place to hide the rest of the nuts. It was not long until Aunt Boo had all her flowers planted in the pretty pots. She then carefully placed them around the patio deck. "My, how pretty they look," she said to herself. "Now it is time for me to go shopping." She took off her garden gloves and laid them on the patio table. In a little while Aunt Boo came out of the house and took one look at Scamper. He was lying quietly on the wooden railing, pretending to be asleep. "I am sure, Scamper, you will behave yourself and not get into any mischief while I am gone," she said. Scamper laid very still until Aunt Boo was out of sight. He wanted to make sure she was gone before he went digging in her flower pots. Then Scamper opened his big eyes and jumped down off the porch railing. It was time to put his plan into action. Scamper jumped to the ground, ran over to the pile of pecans, and picked up a nut off the pile in the yard. He firmly grasped one in his mouth. Then he ran back to the porch. Up the stairs to the patio Scamper went. He jumped into a flower pot and started digging. Dirt went flying here and dirt went flying there. It was not long until all the nuts were buried in Aunt Boo's flower pots. Oh, the porch was such a mess when Scamper got done. Dirt was everywhere, and flowers were uprooted and drooping out of the pots and onto the patio. Suddenly, Scamper's ears perked up. He heard Aunt Boo humming to herself in the house. She had come home. Scamper ran from the scene of his mischievous doings. Down the patio steps he went and quickly hid under the patio. Then Scamper noticed something. Aunt Boo had left the car door open. She had disappeared into the house with a sack of groceries. Scamper knew she had been gone grocery shopping, and he smelled the aroma of fresh bread drifting through the air. Aunt Boo had come in the nick of time. She caught Scamper in the car with the bread wrapper still in his mouth. "What is this? What do you think you're doing? Look at the mess of groceries on the ground. Did you do this too? Oh, Scamper, you're a naughty, naughty squirrel." Scamper knew he was in trouble again. First he had left the mess on the patio, and now he was caught in Aunt Boo's car helping himself to the fresh bread. "Shoo, shoo, Scamper," said Aunt Boo as she picked up the rest of the groceries on the ground and carried them into the house. My, she said, "what is next?" Aunt Boo carefully put the rest of the groceries on the kitchen table. "I will go out and sit on my patio for a few minutes and enjoy the beautiful flowers I planted this morning." Scamper thought to himself, Wait until Aunt Boo sees her patio covered with dirt from my planting the nuts in her flower pots." And then Aunt Boo screamed. Oh my goodness! With her hands on her hips, she looked at the disaster. "My beautiful flowers! And look at all this dirt scattered all over my patio. Now who did this? I just can't imagine who did this. I planted and someone has unplanted. I wonder who. Oh dear, I'm in real trouble now." Scamper said to himself, "It's time for me to leave." Scamper took off like greased lightning to the old white stone wall in the orchard to hide for the rest of the day. Aunt Boo, with a big sigh, got down on her knees and began to replant the flowers. In the flower pots she discovered a nut. "Now I know for sure. The proof is here. It was that mischievous squirrel Scamper, as usual." "Where is Scamper?" Aunt Boo said to herself. "Where did you hide this time?" Aunt Boo looked under the patio. Not there. She looked out in the yard. Not there. She looked up in the trees. Not there. Scamper was nowhere to be seen. Aunt Boo went back to work, replanting the flowers back into the pots and sweeping the dirt off the patio. For the moment she gave up looking for Scamper. "No telling where he disappeared to. I know he will be back, or will he?" Aunt Boo said to herself. Scamper was back, way back, in the far corner of the orchard, hiding behind the white stone wall. There was never a dull moment with Scamper, the mischievous squirrel.